They are arguably the most famous family in the world, and where there is fame and fortune, there is usually a fair share of scandals. The Kardashian-Jenner family are no strangers when it comes to scandal, and today we are going to break down some of the biggest controversies to rock this notorious family. From Kim's infamous home video to Kendall's underwhelming proactive stint, we'll give you what went down on and off the cameras. Stay tuned to see all the lengths the family went through to make sure Kylie's pregnancy was a secret and the latest on what's going on between Khloe and Tristan. It wouldn't be a complete video of Kardashian-Jenner scandals if we didn't mention the one that started it all. That's right, the now infamous Kim Kardashian and Ray J home video. While we can't get into specifics about what was on the video, let's just say it was pretty racy. And it was also the key component to why the family is so famous today. It all went down back in 2002 when Kim Kardashian was only known as the daughter of the late Rob Kardashian. She was also a celebrity stylist, and singer Brandy was her #1 client. That might have been because Kim was dating Brandy's little brother Ray J at the time. While on a romantic vacation celebrating her 23rd birthday, Kim and Ray J made some home videos. They ranged from silly to scandalous, but it was clear that they were very personal. Then 5 years later, after she appeared on A Simple Life as Paris Hilton's friend, and after Paris had a home video released of her own, someone sold Kim's video. An adult production company released the video even after Kim tried to sue the company to halt the release. And needless to say, the rest is history. Kim Kardashian was all anyone could talk about, and just a few short months later, she and her family had their own TV show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. While the show and the family are continued successes, they probably should have learned from the beginning that they were going to struggle at the top. And as time goes on, many people speculate that it was Kim's own mother, Kris Jenner, who sold the video as a PR stunt for the show. Seems like shady business moves, but from everything else we learn on this list, it's not shocking at all. It seems like year after year, there's a new scandal that rocks the family. Another huge controversy came after the marriage of Kim Kardashian and NBA player Kris Humphries, mostly because it seemed like the whole thing was a complete facade. It was one of the biggest reality TV moments, the weddings, the honeymoon, and the infamous split. We can't lie, they made for great TV, but that's all it seemed to be. Now, looking back at it, Kim has even admitted that she didn't think the marriage would last. But we are pretty sure you'd do the same thing if you were getting a fat paycheck like this bride and groom did. Sadly, the marriage only lasted 72 days in total. Kim blames it on the fact that she was freaking out because of her age. She claims that she was settling for someone because she saw all her friends getting married and having babies. But fans and gossip mags have a completely different theory though. Considering momager Kris Jenner is the executive producer of the reality show, it wouldn't be a stretch to say she produced the whole marriage for ratings. While no one is really certain, it ended with some pretty bad blood. The now split couple didn't even come to a settlement from the divorce until 2016. And for all you Kimye fans, you know that Kim was already married to Kanye at that point. Yikes. It may seem like we've been picking on Kim a lot at this point, but to be fair, she was the most popular member of the family for a while, so every move she made was looked at under a microscope. It also meant that brands wanted to plaster her face on every product under the sun. That's where our next Kardashian-Jenner scandal comes in. Thankfully, Kim didn't have to take the brunt of this next controversy by herself. Sisters Khloe and Kourtney were also thrown under the bus. It all went down back in 2012 when the Kardashian sisters endorsed a diet pill by QuickTrim. Though the pill was a moneymaker, according to consumers, they simply didn't work. Because of this, a $5 million lawsuit was filed against the sisters and QuickTrim. 4 women filed the suit in New York, and they claimed the diet pill manufacturers had no scientific evidence that the product actually worked.
So I really trusted them with perfecting the formulas, and they're so good at that.
None of which had been tested and confirmed to actually aid in weight loss. While it seemed like the ladies had a good case against the Kardashian sisters, it ended up working out for the K-gang. In the case of the New York class action suit, it was dismissed. But on a larger scale, QuickTrim customers were entitled to a 50% refund for the faulty product. We can't imagine that was a good look for future product endorsement opportunities. Speaking of not having a good look, we're going to lay off the older sisters for a second. That's because the baby of the family, Kylie, has been wrapped up in controversy after controversy since she was merely a teen. And one of her first slip-ups wasn't exactly her fault, but that doesn't make it any less scandalous. She was 18 at the time when she posed for Interview magazine. It wasn't the fact that she was on the cover in very risque clothing that upset the masses. It was the fact that she was posed in a wheelchair that did the trick. The magazine, as well as Kylie, had to deal with major backlash after the photos were released. People who live with disabilities thought the photo shoot was offensive and tone-deaf. Of course, Interview stood by the pictures and had Kylie's back. They claimed it was art and a way for Kylie to express herself, but the damage had already been done. But this wasn't even the biggest Kylie scandal as we all know now. Before baby Stormi, which we will get to later, so stay tuned, there was that scandal that had everyone focused on Kylie Jenner's lips. What an innocent time it was back when all anyone cared about was whether or not Kylie Jenner's lips were real. She was only 16 years old when people started seeing a change in her appearance. One day she had very fine, thin lips, and then the next they were pleasantly plump. We aren't sure how she thought she would get away with this, especially since she's from one of the most photographed families in the world. But she claimed that it had everything to do with her makeup routine. We can't fault her for not wanting to fess up to getting lip injections. It's a very personal decision. It also seems like her excuse could have been the catalyst to the sources of her now infamous Kylie lip kits. It wasn't until 2018 that we really learned the truth, though. After Kylie gave birth to baby Stormi, she decided she had had enough of her full lips. She stopped with the lip injections and admitted why she got them in the first place. When she was in middle school, Kylie had a crush on a boy. They ended up kissing, but what was supposed to be something special ended up affecting her self-image. The boy told her she was a bad kisser because her lips were so small. This haunted teenage Kylie, and so when she turned 16, with permission from her mom, she decided to get lip fillers. She didn't want to tell her fans because she didn't want them to think they needed lip fillers as well. Of course, we all know that didn't stop kids from trying to get lips like Kylie through the Kylie Jenner lip challenge. Okay, let's give Kylie a break because we will be coming back to her in just a moment. Now, it's time to jump back to Kim Kardashian. This next controversy involves the little tiff between Kim's husband Kanye and the singer Taylor Swift. That's right, we are going to break down that now famous day in 2016 known as Snake Day. You probably remember where you were the day Kim released a Snapchat video revealing Taylor Swift as a liar. Honestly, the pop culture world hasn't been the same since. It was a bombshell that rocked the innocent persona Taylor Swift loves to play. The whole thing went down after the release of Kanye West's song Famous. In the song, Kanye had some pretty harsh things to say about Taylor. He suggested that the two got physical and even called her the B word. As you might have guessed, it didn't take long for Taylor to confront the rapper about the shade he threw in his song. And that's where Kim Kardashian comes in. Standing up for her man, Kim decided to release a video she recorded while Kanye was talking to Taylor about the lyrics of the song. And to say the footage had the internet shook would be an understatement. In the video, fans could hear Kanye go over some of the lyrics that might have upset Taylor. Surprisingly, she responded very gracefully to the rapper. She was thankful he called her to let her know and even gave him permission to use the lyrics whichever way he felt best. The thing is, Taylor had no idea Kim K was secretly recording the conversation. So when the video released, many people started calling Taylor a snake for lying. Of course, the pop singer was mortified. She defended her prior statements, saying that she didn't give Kanye permission to call her a bad name. But it was too late and fans were starting to see a crack in her innocent persona. Speaking of people turning out to be someone completely different than fans thought, it's time to take a look at one of the biggest Kardashian-Jenner scandals of all. Caitlyn Jenner. This family has been through so much, but this was something that viewers of their reality show and fans never saw coming. That doesn't mean the family didn't see it coming, though. While older generations know Bruce Jenner as the Olympic gold medalist who was on Wheaties boxes, younger generations know him as someone completely different. Bruce Jenner was a father and stepfather to some of the most successful women in the world. And while the cameras invaded the lives of the women around him, Bruce had one major secret. His whole life he had struggled with his identity. From a young age, he knew he was fascinated with his older sister's clothing and makeup. Of course, during those times, it wasn't socially acceptable for him to explore this part of his personality. Instead, he turned to sports, which proved to be a rewarding endeavor. Bruce also got married and started a family, not once, but 3 times. It was during his second marriage that he started to let his spouse in on his huge secret. But it turned out too much for her to handle, and the two split up. This is when Bruce finally met Kris Jenner. The two wed and started a family of their own, and soon the cameras arrived to record it all. What many people didn't know until they read Caitlyn Jenner's book was that when Bruce and Kris met, Bruce had already started his hormone replacement therapy. At the time, he was determined to transition from Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner before he turned 30, which means Kris Jenner knew about his secret all along. It just seems she didn't realize the extent of the situation. So, when Bruce dropped the bombshell that he was going to fully transition into Caitlyn, Kris was devastated, along with the rest of the family. You would think coming out as a woman would be the end-all be-all of Caitlyn Jenner's scandals, but you would be mistaken. That's because even though she's already come out with the biggest secret of her life, her world was still riddled with controversies, like that tragic accident back in 2015. Caitlyn was driving down the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, California, when she was involved in a 5-car accident. While trying to avoid an accident, Caitlyn stepped on her brakes, but she ended up rear-ending the car in front of her. Sadly, the family in the car she hit suffered several injuries. Though she wasn't found criminally responsible for the accident, Caitlyn had to pay a pretty penny to the family. In the summer of 2018, the family and Caitlyn settled the suit for $800,000, and the reality star was to pay the family's attorney's fees as well. But the biggest tragedy of all is that someone in another car involved in the accident actually passed away. We are sure this is something that haunts Caitlyn to this day. We aren't even finished with the Caitlyn Jenner scandals. It's like this woman can't go a day without stirring up some sort of headline. And we aren't even going to talk about the backlash she received for being named Glamour's Woman of the Year. No, instead, we are going to look into the backlash and side-eye she got for her support of Trump. While we don't usually like to get into politics, this story is completely confusing. If you know anything about politics, you know that the Republican Party tends to be very conservative. Thus so, they aren't usually supportive of LGBT rights. This isn't to say there aren't a few Republicans that support marginalized people, but for the most part, that isn't the case. So, when Caitlyn Jenner revealed that she voted for Donald Trump—
You voted for Donald Trump?
God, I did?
Yeah.
Fans and supporters around the world gasped in surprise. She said she got more backlash coming out as a Trump supporter than she did coming out as a woman. To be fair, she thought she was going to be able to change the Republican Party's view of LGBTQ issues. Sadly, it seems like she may have been mistaken. In a 2018 Washington Post article, Caitlyn reveals that she has since changed her stance on Trump. She now feels that she was completely wrong to think Trump would support her and her community. She regrets that she backed him and claims she will pay more attention to the voices of her community in the future. We aren't sure what this means for Caitlyn moving forward, but we are sure she is headed in the right direction to help be a voice for her community. Okay, can we all agree that's enough Caitlyn Jenner for now? Let's move along and take a look at someone who hasn't come up in this video yet, Kendall Jenner. We are pretty sure you can already predict where we are going with this one. It was the Pepsi ad heard around the world. While she seems to be the only Kardashian-Jenner who isn't that controversial, Kendall Jenner's tone-deaf Pepsi ad may have almost cost her her career. In 2017, Kendall starred in what was supposed to be an uplifting short film for Pepsi. While it was able to unify the internet, it was for the completely wrong reason. In the short film/ad, Kendall is modeling during a shoot. She and the people working the photo shoot notice a march happening outside. Instead of finishing her job, Kendall decides to strip off her makeup and wig and join the protesters. If that wasn't strange enough, when she approaches a cop, a controversial figure in American culture at the time, she hands him a Pepsi. What? While the ad had the best of intentions, it seemed to be completely tone-deaf. People took to social media to air their grievances, and for once, it seemed like no one was even siding with Pepsi. In the end, the ad was pulled off air and the company released an apology. It seems like people don't like soda companies using social issues and models to sell their product. Who would have guessed? Yeah, 2017 was a tough year for Kendall Jenner. Not only did her Pepsi ad raise eyebrows, but so did one of her business moves. This time, it involved her and her baby sister's clothing line, Kendall plus Kylie. We aren't sure who told the ladies they could get away with this next stunt, but we're pretty sure that person lost their job after this one. Back in 2017, the sisters were doing awesome things with their clothing line and fans were eating it up. That was until the ladies decided to make vintage t-shirts featuring musical icons. While it seemed to be a hit with their targeted audience, there were a few people who were really upset. The shirts had Kendall and Kylie's faces superimposed over the likes of Ozzy Osbourne, Tupac, and Notorious B.I.G. The problem was, though, that no one had contacted anyone from any of these artists to get permission to use their images. As soon as the $125 shirts hit the stand, an uproar from the artist families and estates ensued. Notorious B.I.G.'s mother took to Instagram to let fans know that his estate has nothing to do with the product. She even claimed that no one even gave her a phone call and that the use of his image on their shirts was exploitation. Ozzy Osbourne's wife Sharon even chimed in on Twitter. She told the sisters that they haven't earned the right to have their picture next to the musical icons. She even told them to stick to lip gloss because it's what they know. Ouch, Sharon, that's a bit harsh. While it was a pretty embarrassing stunt, it seems like the girls learned their lesson. Their clothing and accessories line is still doing fantastic, so they ended up coming out on top after all. Not long after the t-shirt controversy, there was shocking news surrounding Kylie Jenner that made everyone completely forget about everything else. Yep, we've made it to the scandals to rock all Kardashian-Jenner scandals. Kylie Jenner's not-so-well-hidden secret pregnancy. The fact that Kylie was pregnant was surprising to many, especially since she was only with her new man for all of 30 seconds before the rumors started spreading. What was even more strange is that Kylie took a noticeable leave from all social media. Her family and friends did everything they could to keep Kylie's pregnancy a secret, but when you're the most famous family on the planet, it's pretty hard to get away with such big news. Kylie would make appearances outside her home every now and then. She was always spotted in baggy clothing, which was a far cry from her usual skin-tight get-ups. Then, rumors about the baby were leaked to the press. They stated that Kylie and rapper Travis Scott were expecting a little girl. Fans were of course thrilled about the possible baby. Many were more concerned that Kylie, only 20 at the time, wasn't ready to have children. One thing is for sure, no one saw it coming, and even her sisters were shocked. But by the time February 2018 rolled along, the rumors were finally confirmed. Kylie herself took to social media to announce that her baby had been delivered and was happy and healthy. She also apologized to her fans for not telling them sooner. She also said it was a really private matter and she wanted to keep it that way. After the birth of her daughter Stormi, Kylie vowed to keep her off social media. But if you're a fan of Kylie, you know that she hasn't kept true to her word. Thankfully, we haven't seen any scandals with the new mom. All in all, it seems like she and her daughter are having a great time together. And we even get to see them as they follow Travis Scott around on tour. So it looks like, yet again, Kylie Jenner has come out on top. Speaking about coming out on top, let's take another look at some controversies the most popular sister Kim has stirred up again. We all know that Kim Kardashian has amazing skin. People all over the world want to know her beauty routine, and her makeup looks have been mimicked all over social media. So it was a no-brainer for her to release a makeup line that helps consumers get her look. One of her first makeup products was her contour and highlight kit. While there were already issues with the product itself, more people were upset about the advertisement for it. That's because it featured a photograph of Kim K appearing much darker than usual. Fans from the start know that she doesn't have the most tan skin, so when they saw her ad, everyone was confused. Had she deliberately made her skin tone darker to reach a different market? It was the question that was on everyone's mind, and soon Kim was accused of donning blackface. According to the reality star, this couldn't be further from the truth. She claimed that she wanted the photograph to seem moody, and by making it a few shades darker, she got the photo she wanted. It also helped show off how well the contour worked. Though she did end up admitting to the mistake, she eventually took down the pictures and replaced them with photos of herself and her lighter skin tone. But it seems like she didn't actually learn her lesson the first time. That's right, Kimmy's blackface backlash scandal isn't finished yet. Even before the release of her contour kit, Kim was accused of donning blackface. That's because she decided to pay tribute to one of her favorite artists for Halloween, Aaliyah. The reality star posted a photo of her costume of Aaliyah from her Try Again video, and the backlash was almost instant. Many fans were upset because they thought Kim was culturally appropriating the late singer. They claimed because Aaliyah was a black woman, Kim had no right to wear her outfit as a costume. Other people accused Kim of doing blackface even though you could tell she didn't change the color of her skin. This time, more fans came to Kim's defense. They stated that because Aaliyah was an artist, Kim gets a pass to pay homage. Either way, Kim had never addressed the issues, which is probably for the best. Alright, that's enough Kim K for now. It's time to move on to a sister who has barely made a blip in this video. And her biggest scandal of all? None other than her on-again, off-again with baby daddy, Scott Disick. These two were pretty much doomed from the start, but we can't fault them for trying to work out their differences for the kids. Thankfully, they seem to be in better places now with their 20-something partners. So let's look back on some of the messes they put each other through many moons ago. It all started out one fateful night in 2006 when Kourtney and Scott first met. According to Scott, he already had a crush on her when they met, but the same isn't true for our girl Kourt. She may have wanted to listen to her instincts. She's admitted that she wasn't really into Scott when they met. That's because he was 4 years younger, didn't have a job, and she thought he was annoying. You could imagine everyone's surprise when the pair came out as a couple in 2007, which happened to be the same year Keeping Up with the Kardashians' first season aired. Scott was painted as Kourtney's boyfriend, and the two were pretty much inseparable. That was until some shady business went down not even a year later. In 2008, Kourtney's sisters found a text in Scott's phone, and it wasn't pretty. According to the way things played out on the show, Scott texted an ex-girlfriend. He was basically staring in her eyes and told her that he loved her and that he wanted to go back to LA to see her and not tell Kourtney. Yeah, that was all it took for Kourt to pull the plug on the relationship. She ditched Scott for cheating on her, and that marked the first scandal in a long line of more to come. As we all know now, Scott and Kourtney weren't finished in 2008. Nope, after she came back from Miami, she decided that Scott deserved another chance. Mostly because when she was still in Miami, she and Scott got together and she became pregnant after their encounter. Enter scandal number 2, their first baby. Though they weren't officially back together, they decided to try to make things work for the sake of their new baby. Of course, the family was skeptical about all of this. For the most part, it seemed like Scott had cleaned up his act, but that didn't last long. While at Kim K's 29th birthday party and shortly after Kourtney got pregnant, Scott went on a drunken tirade. Not only did he assault a server by shoving a $100 bill in his mouth, but he also embarrassed the family in front of business clients. What's even worse is that the world saw everything because the whole scene played out on KUWTK. Once Kourtney saw the playback from the show, she decided to dump Scott once again. As everyone knows, the breakup didn't last long, and they were back together during the birth of their firstborn, Mason. Then, in 2010, Scott let his alcohol addiction get the best of him. While in Miami, Scott went on a scary drunken rampage that left him punching walls and screaming at Kourtney's sisters. Kim and Kourtney had to actually lock themselves and Mason away from Scott to keep the baby safe. This became a huge problem, and Kourtney ended up telling Scott to clean up his act or she would be out of his life. Even after all of this, we still aren't even close to being finished with these two. In 2011, the couple seemed to be doing fantastic, so much so that Scott decided to make it last forever. The problem was he wasn't asking Kourtney if she felt the same. So when he dropped down on one knee and popped the question, he didn't get the answer he was looking for. Insert another scandal. Yeah, it's probably best to ask your partner their stance on marriage before you ask them to be your wife. Apparently, Kourtney had no desire to marry Scott or anyone for that matter. She told him she wanted to keep things the way they were. So she ended up saying no, but thankfully it didn't ruin the relationship. What played out over the following years would have put a strain on any relationship. Scott's mom and dad passed away, and he went into a spiral. Kourtney ended up pregnant another 2 times, which put a lot of pressure on Scott as well. After the loss of his parents and after Kourtney became pregnant with baby number 3, Scott left for Mexico and didn't come back. You could probably understand why Kourtney was so worried. She was mostly concerned about his substance abuse, and when he didn't return, she thought he might have passed away. Thankfully, that was not the case. He finally came home and apologized, and for some reason, Kourtney still took him back. It wasn't until 2017 that this tumultuous couple called it quits for good. After 3 babies, several breakups, and cheating scandals, Kourtney finally told him it was over. While it seemed like the end of an era, it was what was best for the family. After a decade of trying to make their love work, the pair is in a much better place. They're trying to make their friendship work, and it seems like they're co-parenting just fine. Hopefully they can keep this up because we all know they don't need any more Scott Disick scandals. Speaking of scandalous relationships, it's time to take a look at the sister who has been rocked with them. That's right, we are about to dive in headfirst into Khloe Kardashian's relationship with Tristan Thompson. As if she hadn't already been through enough with Lamar Odom, Tristan goes off and pulls some dumb stuff. What's even worse is that Khloe was pregnant at the time and everyone was watching their every move. Let's take a look at the facts and what really happened those times the media claims he cheated on Khloe. It all went down in April of 2018 when Khloe was just days away from giving birth. A video was released that showed Khloe's baby's father, Tristan, kissing another woman in a nightclub. As if that weren't already enough, more and more evidence came out in the following days. Another video showed the same woman going to and from Tristan's hotel. They shared a card together and left the hotel together, only to return later that evening. The evidence was all there, bright as day. Then, even more shocking videos came to light. This time, it was from when Khloe was only 3 months pregnant. Tristan once again was seen at a nightclub getting really close to some woman who was not Khloe. Meanwhile, while everything was playing out, Khloe's family joined her in Cleveland as they were anticipating the arrival of Khloe's baby. Momager Kris told the media that they were focused on keeping Khloe away from the headlines, but it would have been pretty hard to do. The week just kept getting worse and worse for the couple. That was until baby True finally came into the world. We have to say the timing of the whole scandal couldn't have been worse. Khloe was notably absent from the press and social media, and Tristan didn't dare address the cheating rumors. Of course, friends and family had cryptic messages on Instagram and Twitter, but even then, they were keeping mum about the whole situation. It wasn't until Kim Kardashian was on Ellen that someone in the family started talking about everything that went down. Kim said she wasn't going to get fully into the situation because she didn't want True to see her talking bad about her father, but she claimed it was a hard time. By this time, we can all remember that Tristan was blaming his actions on his groupies, and it seemed like Khloe was taking his side. Then, once again, even after the pair had reconciled, another cheating allegation rocked their new family. According to sources, Tristan was spotted getting really close with another woman who wasn't Khloe. This may have been the final straw. As of November 2018, rumors and theories speculating the couple secretly split started hitting the internet. It was also when we all finally got to see everything play out on KUWTK. Kourtney watched along with fans and was tweeting reactions. Fans were livid with Tristan, and Khloe was right there with him. Having to relive the whole thing over again brought back some raw emotions. It was so bad that Tristan refused to watch the show, but we think Khloe should have made him as punishment. At this time, no one in the family has given any information about the current status of the relationship, so we have no idea if these two are together or if they called it off for good. What we do know is that this isn't the way any woman should be treated, let alone one pregnant with your child. We hope Tristan has learned his lesson and Khloe has finally kicked him to the curb. Now that we are up to date with the cheating scandals and relationships, let's take a look at another side of the Kardashian-Jenner life. When you have so many followers like these sisters, your posts become prime targets for product placement. Back in the day, companies and manufacturers could reach their target audience via television sets. That just isn't the case anymore. These companies now use influencers and social media celebrities to sell their goods, and it isn't always the best look for the celeb. We have all seen these ads, and many times we probably didn't even know it. Thankfully, we now know when an influencer is being paid for a post or when they actually like a product. If they are being paid to say good things about a product, they have to use the ad hashtag. That's where our next little scandal comes up. We've watched the Kardashian sisters sell us things like waist trainers and weight loss lollipops, and fans have had issues with these products for years. But when Kim posted a selfie with some meal replacement shakes in 2018, it seemed like fans had had enough. Followers of the reality star came back pretty harsh on Kim. They claimed that she was using her platform irresponsibly and that it was unhealthy for the little girls who follow her to see this post. All in all, the post garnered over 17,000 negative comments. But unlike the backlash she got from the weight loss lollipops, it wasn't enough for Kim to erase the ad. It also wasn't enough to keep her big sister Kourtney from posting for the same brand a mere few hours later. While the products they hawk sometimes get them in trouble, other times it's the hype that surrounds them that garnishes backlash. Like the time Kendall had a huge announcement to make, and when she did, no one was impressed. In early 2019, Kris Jenner tweeted that everyone should pay attention to Kendall's huge announcement later that night. She even went as far as to use hashtags that said, "Be the change," and change the conversation and get ready. Needless to say, fans of the family were getting all riled up about what could possibly be going down. They got their answer later that evening, and they were less than excited about it. When Kendall announced that she was collaborating with Proactive because of her acne issues, there was a collective eye roll from everyone on Twitter. Fans were calling out Mama Kris for her overhyped teaser and even laughing at Kendall for the collaboration. One fan even stated that Kendall gets $1,000 facials in her designer gear between shoots for Vogue. Because of this, they speculated that she doesn't even use Proactive, and we can't dispute that logic. The whole thing was pretty embarrassing and a lame attempt to get fans excited about a really ordinary collaboration. Another embarrassing moment for the family came in 2019 when Kim showed off her designer duds from Dolce & Gabbana. To be fair, not many people know about the controversy with the brand, but we'll get you up to speed. Back in 2015, the head designers and namesakes of the brand gave their opinion on what they thought of IVF babies. These are babies that are born with medical help because their parents couldn't have children on their own. The insensitive comments landed the fashion brand in hot water, which eventually landed Kim K in hot water when she gave them airtime on her Instagram. In January 2019, the reality star came home to large boxes full of goodies. She showed everything off on her Instagram stories, and it didn't take long for the backlash to hit her. Fans were upset that she was using her platform to give the controversial designers a plug. They said she should have been using it to educate people instead. It seemed like Kimmy got the message because she ended up deleting the story, but as of mid-January 2019, she never addressed the issue that caused the outrage. Are you shocked that after so many scandals the Kardashian-Jenner family has, they still come out on top? Sound off in the comment section below, and while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the taco. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.